Hello, welcome back to Aetheral Space. Welcome back to it. 3.30.
Get there, buddy?
I'm fine. I'm the greatest.
I noticed something here, and I haven't read ahead, just like my eyes scanning the page. There's like a weird indent at some point. Okay, I didn't know if that was on purpose or not. That's why I was asking. Alright. So last time on Aetheral Space, more fighting. That's what's been going on for like 8 chapters now.
Marie got fucking shredded.
Or 5 chapters. Yeah, but I don't believe she's gone. She died too anticlimactically. She has to be coming back. Or at the very least, like, something is going to happen as a result of her death that's bigger. Because she just died too quickly. I don't believe you for a second that she's dead. Although that would be pretty epic if Skipper was just that powerful. Because maybe you did kill her off, and that scene was just to show how fucking scary Skipper can be. I don't know, but I don't believe you. Do you believe you?
I don't know. I can't say anything. Why don't you keep reading the story?
All right, sorry. I'm like covered in dog hair. I'm super itchy. Anyway, but that was like the recap, right? Everybody was fighting. Marie got fucking murked, quote unquote.
And Skipper fell and had to climb all the way back up.
Oh yeah. He fell and he like used his arm stub to like cling to the wall. He did that thing and he like dug into the wall, right? Yeah. Can he use his fucking? Can he do that shit with Aether that like Caesar and Joseph did to climb the wall? If I concentrate on my fingertips. Yeah. Can you use Aether like Hamon? Does it work similarly?
Not really.
Oh, there's no Aether ability to like walk on water.
Well, I guess they can
or like hit a frog and hit the rock underneath it. Okay, sorry. Fuck. Okay. It was just like playing a piano. Noel's fingers danced across the holographic keys as images and input boxes flashed on the screens for mere seconds at a time. Far too quickly for any normal person to retain the information, but for a cogitant like her, it was a simple matter to retain in her memory. She was in her element. Her Aether, too, was running through the system, inhabiting it, like a person might put on the costume. Put on a costume? Yeah. Put on the costume? Climbing into the open system and puppeteering it from the inside. Wait, that's not a sentence on its own.
It can be.
That's supposed to be a comma? I guess. She was all but in control. Warily, she turned her head towards the gap in the railing where Marie and Skipper had fallen through. There's been some noise in the seconds since they'd gone down, gunshots and smashing steel, but since then, nothing. Who had won? Had there even been a winner? There was a non-zero chance that both combatants were now unfortunate piles of meat at the bottom of the chamber. It would be a fitting end for that irritating man, at least, and she didn't know Marie well enough to mourn her. The cyan Aether stopped trickling from her fingertips into the machinery, and a grin spread, I assume, across her face. She was in. Excitement racing through her veins, she turned back towards the console, leaned forward to look at the screen and a stun bolt zoomed past where her head had just been, fizzing away uselessly as it hit the wall. "Step away from there," said a serious voice from behind her. Noelle sighed as she turned away from the console, hands held over her head. This whole holding her at gunpoint thing was starting to get a little repetitive, truth be told. Oh, hell yeah! Signature move, except he fucking missed somehow like an idiot. How did he miss that? She was literally standing still. Dragan Hadrian stood there in the open doorway, pointing 2 stun pistols at her. He narrowed his bright blue eyes into a glare. So you know how when a character in a story, or I guess like in Shonen, they get really angry or upset, they like power up? Dragan's equivalent of that is going to be setting the gun from stun to kill. He's going to just flip the switch. Now I'm angry. Where's Skipper? He snapped. Where's Skipper? He asked reasonably, keeping his pistols trained on Noelle. Even if her body... I guess this is Dragan's perspective now. Even if her body was surrendering, he couldn't be sure what other measures she might already have put into place. Noelle nodded towards a gap in the walkway's railing, where the metal seemed to have bent outwards. "Last I saw," she said, with more than a hint of smugness, "he was headed down there." "Right. You're not strong enough to take out Skipper," he said. As much as the man was annoying, Dragan couldn't deny his considerate abilities. "You don't think so? Why don't you jump down and ask him?" Noelle's voice was sickly sweet, like rotten strawberries. Ew, have you eaten rotten strawberries?
Of course, I slipped them.
Dragan could hear it, though. She believed she was telling the truth. Whatever, Skipper couldn't be dead. He wouldn't die in such a stupid way. He jabbed one of his pistols in Noelle's direction. Wait, yeah. Come over here, he said. Slowly, with your hands over your head, just like that. One move I don't ask for, and I shoot. Noelle sighed. Okay. And with that, she began to walk, the sound of her footsteps against the metal walkway echoing throughout the chamber. All right. He had Noelle. That was a victory, if nothing else. He'd knock her out and restrain her, then take her in Rayange to the security gathered outside. Easy peasy. But Skipper... You know, began Noelle, only for her speech to trail off to a halt as a stun bolt whizzed past her ear, centimeters from her head. I didn't ask you to talk, glared Dragan. Just keep walking. Noelle came to a stop right in the middle of the walkway, still meters away from Dragan. Her arms flopped down from atop her head, falling to her sides. A smug smirk played across her lips, inspiring a flare of angry heat in Dragan's head. Don't try and be clever, he said, training his pistol towards her head. One last chance. I'm shooting at the count of 3. That was a lie, of course. He was shooting at the count of 2. Noelle raised a defiant eyebrow. 1, he said, but the next number was replaced by an involuntary scream of pain as something hot collided with his back. His pistol slipped from his grip as the force of the impact sent him falling forwards, his face colliding with the metal walkway beneath as he met the ground. Bright blue aether zapped around him involuntarily, his aether automatically trying to defend him. What had got him? What had happened? Noelle chuckled to herself. She hadn't moved from where she'd been moments ago before. I love that, she sighed. That's great. That's the moment when you realize I was in control all along. It's the best, you know? Body shaking, Dragan turned his head to look in the direction of the projectile. Hang on, I'm so sorry. Dragan turned his head to look in the direction of the projectile. A drone was floating there, out in the darkness, plasma still dripping from its shotgun, but it was an official security drone, not one of the custom ones Noelle had been using before. Realization dawned. He was too late. You seem to be getting it, Noelle giggled, spreading her arms wide. Wait, if he kills her, won't that stop the Aether, or did she already program
he just got shot in the
destroy
back.
all... Oh, right, sorry, but I mean, he said it was... Never mind. As if on cue, the countless compartments lining the wall opened as one, and from each of them... opened as one, and from each of them a security drone just like the one that had shot Dragan emerged, coming together to form a veritable constellation behind their new master. Hundreds, Dragan realized. There were hundreds of them. Why would a fucking hospital need so many security drones? You shouldn't have taken me so lightly, Noelle said, hand on her hip, laughter still in her voice. This is what happens, you know? It's just no good. Dragan planted his hands on the ground to push himself up. He could feel it. His aether had protected him from the worst of the blow. He'd been sent flying, but the plasma wasn't eating through his back. So long as he avoided the drone's shots, he could still fight. He glanced at the cloud of drones as he rose to his feet. Oh, hell, who was he kidding? You seemed pretty eager for me to surrender before, said Noelle, cocking her head as she smiled sweetly. Why don't you try it out for yourself? You might take a shine to it. Gloating. He knew it well. He spat on the ground in front of him, blood mixed in with the saliva. Like hell he'd humiliate himself in front of a brat like this. Noelle's smile spread into a grin. You sure? I'll give you 3 seconds. Dragan braced himself for the incoming attacks. The technique he'd come up with might have been able to help him if it were only 1 or 2 shots, but against hundreds he was just as helpless as anyone else. Oh, new technique hinted. Is it something reflective, maybe? I think I predicted something reflective as one of my things. 1... He could run for it. That was an option. The open door was still behind him, after all. That wouldn't solve anything. It wasn't as if Noelle was trapped in this room. The drones could chase him down and kill him in whatever venue they liked. 2... Maybe Bruno or Ruth would come and bail him out of this. No, he couldn't rely on that. They'd be dealing with Satan, whoever was going after him. For all he knew, they could be in worse trouble than he was. This reminds me a lot of that scene in JoJo's where, Polnareff's running through the 3 options to deal with, like a comic book hero. It was hard to imagine worse trouble than facing down a literal army of trigger-happy drones, but still, he couldn't think of anything. His train of thought reached the end of the tracks, and beyond that was only a terrifying void. Was there nothing he could do? There wasn't. He gulped, squeezed his eyes shut, and then he realized that it had been quite a while since Noelle had said 2. Cautiously, he opened one eye again. Noelle was still standing where she'd been before, but her demeanor couldn't have been any different. Her teeth were bare, face twisted in an expression of pain, one hand pressed against her temple as if to keep it from falling apart. Oh, did she overload herself, or is she just having another mental breakdown? The other hand was planted against the console for support. No, she hissed. Not now! A chance. He didn't quite understand what he was seeing, why Noelle had paused her countdown, but it was a chance all the same. He'd be an idiot not to take it. Dragan lunged forward. The plasma came down like rain, the drones closest to him automatically firing as he made a threatening movement. He managed to duck under the first volley, Aether sparking around his body in a panic, but against the second round of shots he wasn't quite so lucky. He felt plasma pass over his hair, singeing it, and the smell of burning filled his nostrils and clawed at his throat. As the shot moved through his Aether, though, it was as if he could taste it, tendrils of his Aether scanning through the projectiles that entered such close range. If one was watching carefully, they might have seen the plasma shot vanish in what looked like a fizzle of blue electricity. Oh my god, he's Villager! He just absorbs the projectile to throw later! That's his secret technique? He's Villager? From Smash?
Who can say? We must continue reading.
Aether pocket! Oh my god, is he putting things in his pocket like fucking Hero and Kel? As he doubled over, coughing, overtaking him even as he ran, a second shot struck him in the back of the leg, sending him collapsing down to the floor, whereas momentum sent him sliding right to Noelle's feet. She stared down at him, one hand still planted against her temple, pupils dilated with outrage. "What the hell do you think you're doing?" she snarled, giving him a vicious kick in the ribs, one that came with an audible snap from something inside him. "Who the hell do you think you're running at? You think I'm that easy, huh? You think I'm nothing?" More kicks came, one after another, striking at Dragan's torso, with all the strength Noelle's small body could muster. You need to be more like me, Dragan. Even with her tiny frame, the pain of the strikes was unimaginable. Dragan hacked up what he'd eaten earlier that day onto the walkway in front of him, only to realize with faint dread the taste of blood that came along with it. "Yeah!" growled Noelle, crouching down and slam. Oh my god, she is doing the fucking... she is doing it! Slamming... I saw you do that sneak edit. Slamming Dragan's face into the walkway by his hair! I shouldn't be laughing. This is actually a really serious scene, but I just love that you fucking included that. I don't know if that was intentional or not, but I love it. Not so smart now, huh? Not so clever? Shut the fuck up! That last scream wasn't directed at Dragan, but at the monitor behind her. It was almost time, Dragan realized faintly, slipping in and out of consciousness. He'd run towards her with a plan in mind. He wasn't sure of it. He was brilliant like that. He just needed her to come a little closer. Even the slightest movement was excruciating, but Dragan persisted all the same, and twisted his mouth into a smug grin. He spat, and a splash of blood landed on Noelle's hand. For a moment, she stared at the blood in mild surprise, blinking slowly as she took it in. Then, the hand that was holding on to Dragan's hair, began to shake. Slowly, roughly, a tempo of utter fury. With a jerk, she pulled him towards her by the collar, her red face inches from his own, her teeth bared in an almost inhuman grimace. "I bet you think you're pretty clever," she hissed almost silently, "but I'm gonna kill you. I'm gonna kill you right now. There won't even be a corpse. Not a fucking corpse. Nothing left of your fucking head. I'll kill you!" She was working herself up into a lather, an unfortunate feedback loop of anger empowering anger until all sense was abandoned in favor of pure rage. Dragan mumbled something, inaudible through cracked lips. Noelle shook him violently. "What was that?" she screamed. Gemini, Dragan mumbled. She cocked her head, her eyes narrowing slightly. Some kind of sense was returning to her, some natural suspicion that should have already been ringing alarm bells. "Gemini?" she said slowly, eyes flicking around the chamber as if to look for some trap he'd placed in advance. "Shotgun!" There was a sound like an explosion, and a second later Noelle went flying backwards, slamming against the console behind her with such force that the controls burst out in a shower of sparks and glass. Drops of loose plasma burnt at the metalwork. No, oh my god, is she like dead? That was like a point-blank range plasma attack, right? Oh, it's called Gemini because it's two, because he's cloning it like a twin attack. I get it. See that? 3,000 IQ. Noelle screamed as she worked herself free of the controls, not just from frustration, but from pain as well. A huge burn was covering her left eye. There was no doubt that she was now blind on that side. The eye wasn't even visible anymore, just an angry red wound. She moved her left arm to cover the wound on her face, only for her to scream to trail off in shock as she realized that arm now terminated as a burning, uneven stump just... Oh my god, isn't she like 12?
It's fucked up
uneven
world, man.
stump just above her elbow. "What did you do?" she muttered. What did you... She muttered, staring at her arm, adrenaline giving her a moment of lucidity. "What did you do?" Dragan still lay on the ground where she'd left him, face half pressed against the floor, but he still looked up at her and grinned, teeth stained red with his own blood. "Told you," he said. "Gemini. Shotgun." It wasn't a special attack if you didn't give it a cool name, after all. Fucking hell yeah, Dragan! Is Plasma Bolt in your world one word?
Yeah.
You might want to add that to dictionary on Google. To be honest, he hadn't been sure if it was possible until he'd actually done it. He'd had to actually take a shot from one of those plasma bolts before he could record an incoming attack in his Aether, and then manifest it to throw it right back at Noel. Couldn't any Aether user do that, though? That doesn't seem like a highly specific technique.
Like, you'd have to be a cogitant, because you have to, like, scan it and understand the structure of it very quickly.
Oh, this is my hidden cogitant technique. Gemini shotgun. Recording a projectile, empowering it with your own Aether, and firing it off with extra strength. Wasn't bad for someone only half conscious. Well, thought Dragan as his vision began to grow increasingly dark. Maybe a little less than half. Noelle collapsed, supported only by 2 drones that held her up with rudimentary graspers. Saya and Aether sparking around them. They lifted her up off the ground, her lopsided figure twitching as she kicked at the air in frustration. "Kill him!" she breathed, staring at that bastard Hadrian, her commands spreading out through her Aether. "Kill him! All of you, kill him!" Her drones moved as one, pointed their guns at the unconscious Hadrian, and, as one, fired. The plasma rained down so quickly and so fiercely that Hadrian's carcass was obscured by... Oh god, fucking Bruno's gonna be there, I know it. As soon as I heard smoke obscured, I know it. By smoke and steam radiating out through the chamber at incredible speed. Noelle twitched as it buffeted against her body, the pain from her missing arm now beginning to make itself known, a prelude to agony. She had to get out of here. But, she had to see Hadrian dead first. She'd only be satisfied when she saw the wreckage of his corpse. A feral grin on her face from pain just as much as glee. She leaned forward as the smoke began to clear. Her heart dropped. Oh, yes! You even had the other line! Fuck you, Dan! I'd say you won that one, kiddo, said Skipper. He was standing right in the doorway, the unconscious Hadrian strewn over his shoulder. Psychologically, at least. I mean, she seems pretty mad, yeah? The entire walkway had been melted away by the plasma, but Skipper had somehow rushed in and grabbed Hadrian before she'd even noticed. So did he, move Hadrian out of the way, or did he, shield somehow?
Well, he's going on his back, so...
Right, but how did Skipper not just get fucking blasted then? Did he move?
Hi.
So he moved.
Yeah.
And he'd done it with one arm. Skipper straightened up, grinned at Noelle, but the humor from his eyes were gone. "You want to be mad at someone?" he said, slowly pointing his finger towards her. "Then be mad at me. Let's see how that goes for you." An awful cracking noise escaped from Noelle's throat. Skipper winked. "Yeah?" Alright, did I do Skipper's voice right? I feel like I didn't.
It sounds fine to me.
Okay. Sorry I was so all over the place. I'm kind of brain fried after work and after watching some videos of a certain kind with Tan.
Can you rephrase that? Because you make it sound like you were watching porn.
No, it wasn't porn. We were watching some Darman adjacent... We were watching some videos that were adjacent to Darman videos, but they were really bizarre.
Very bizarrely Christian really themes. And much darker.
Yeah. Well, even beyond that too, they were just it was a whole I don't know how to describe this one where it was a guy who was homeless just got beat up by this dude for no reason, and then he was he hired her daughter. It was very weird. Anyway, thank you for reading or watching.
You have a question?
You know what I mean. Oh shit. Yeah. My question is, well, I already asked if Marie's still dead. We didn't find that out yet. My question is, did Dragan win the battle psychologically? Do you agree with Skipper? God, you had to... that confirmed that you had that in mind. I was like, is this intentional? I don't want to meme it too hard, but you clearly were... I know what you were thinking of.
I took what I wanted from it, made it my own.
That's your technique, Gemini writer. I infused my own techniques into it. Oh god, that's funny. Okay, that was a good chapter. I guess bye.
Bye.